clean water. In the United States, that sounds like something guaranteed, something certain. But from Jackson to Miami, from the shores of Lake Erie to the deserts of Yuma, the reality is far more complicated. This is not a story about a single crisis. It is 15 different stories about the same issue: water systems under pressure, from aging infrastructure, from climate, from growth, from politics, and from past neglect. Some cities have lost their water within days. Others are slowly losing their security over years. And the question is no longer, could this happen? The question is, where is it next? Jackson has become a symbol of the collapse of a modern urban water system. In 2022, the city's main water treatment system completely failed after flooding worsened infrastructure that had already been deteriorating for decades. Around 150,000 residents lost access to safe drinking water. Water pressure dropped dramatically, hospitals struggled to operate, schools were closed, and residents had to line up for bottled water. By 2025 to 2026, conditions are more stable compared to the height of the crisis. The federal government stepped in, billions of dollars in repair funding were allocated, and several facilities have been restored. But the problem is not over. Some areas still experience water pressure disruptions. The distribution system remains fragile, and most importantly, public trust has not fully recovered. Many residents still buy large containers of water because the trauma of the crisis lingers. If Jackson collapses because of aging infrastructure, Cape Coral faces a quieter but equally dangerous threat: shrinking freshwater supplies due to saltwater intrusion. This city is one of the fastest growing in Florida. New homes continue to rise, artificial canals divide residential neighborhoods, and water demand keeps climbing. The problem? Part of the supply depends on underground aquifers that are now under serious stress. The area has even been placed under a water shortage order, restricting private well usage as groundwater levels declined. When reserves drop, the risk of saltwater intrusion increases. Seawater from the Gulf of Mexico can seep into freshwater sources and permanently damage them. If Cape Coral is slowly approaching a crisis, Miami is already living with the threat every day. The city depends on the Biscayne Aquifer, one of the most critical groundwater sources in South Florida. The problem? This aquifer is shallow, porous, and highly vulnerable to saltwater intrusion. As sea levels rise and development pressure intensifies, seawater can seep in and contaminate freshwater reserves. Miami faces two pressures at once: steady sea level rise and continuous population growth, along with coastal real estate development. In some parts of South Florida, water managers have already moved production wells farther inland to avoid salt contamination. That is proof the threat is not theoretical. It is already happening. Miami faces rising seas, but Toledo was struck by something that came from its lake. In August 2014, the city suddenly issued a warning: do not drink the tap water. The cause? Microcystin toxin from a harmful algal bloom in Lake Erie. About 400,000 people were affected. Supermarkets ran out of bottled water within hours. Restaurants closed. Hospitals had to reorganize operations. This was not a random event. Lake Erie is the shallowest of the Great Lakes, which makes it warm up more quickly during summer. When agricultural fertilizer runoff carries phosphorus into the lake, algae growth can explode. The combination of warm temperatures and high nutrient levels creates the perfect conditions for toxic blooms. Flint stands as proof that a single decision can damage public trust for years. In 2014, the city switched its water source to cut costs. Without proper corrosion control treatment, the more corrosive water eroded aging pipes and released lead into residents' drinking water. Thousands of children were exposed. The water changed color, developed a foul odor, and triggered a national public health crisis. The scandal led to federal investigations, lawsuits, and a massive lead pipe replacement program. By the middle of this decade, thousands of service lines had been replaced, and water quality has technically met federal standards. In Flint, the biggest issue now is trust. Many residents still rely on bottled water or additional filters. The collective trauma has not faded. The city became a symbol that even in a developed nation, public water systems can fail when oversight and investment are neglected. Flint shook the nation, and Newark showed that lead pipe problems are not isolated cases. They are systemic issues in older cities. A few years after the Flint crisis came to light, Newark discovered elevated lead levels in its drinking water caused by decades-old lead service lines. The city distributed filters and bottled water to thousands of households. Public confidence wavered, especially in lower-income neighborhoods. Unlike some cities that delayed action, Newark moved quickly to replace thousands of lead pipes through an aggressive, accelerated program. Within a few years, most lead service lines had been removed, and testing showed significant improvement in water quality. By 2026, Newark is no longer in an acute crisis. The remaining lesson is clear. Many cities across the Northeast and Midwest still operate aging pipe networks that remain vulnerable. Newark and Flint were about aging pipes, but Coalinga faces a problem that comes straight from beneath the ground. This small city in California's Central Valley sits in an area of intensive agriculture, a region that depends heavily on groundwater. The issue? The groundwater here contains natural contaminants such as arsenic and high levels of total dissolved solids. That means even without drought, water quality is already a serious challenge. For years, Coalinga has had to rely on costly treatment systems to make its water safe to drink. Those expenses weigh heavily on a small city with a limited tax base. When drought hits California, pressure on groundwater increases even more as wells are pumped deeper to meet demand. The previous cities dealt with quality and infrastructure. In Navajo Nation, the issue is more fundamental: access to water itself. The territory stretches across 3 states: Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah, and is one of the largest reservations in the United States. Yet even by the middle of this decade, thousands of households still do not have running water connected directly to their homes. Many families must haul water by truck or carry containers from public distribution points that can be dozens of kilometers away. When the COVID-19 pandemic struck, this disparity drew national attention because access to clean water is essential for basic health and sanitation. Navajo Nation highlights basic access. Klamath Falls centers on who has the right to use water that is increasingly scarce. The city lies within the Klamath Basin, a region that has long been the site of water disputes among farmers, native tribes, and efforts to protect fish species safeguarded under federal law. When drought reduces lake levels, the federal government has at times restricted irrigation deliveries to protect ecosystems and uphold tribal water rights. As a result, social tensions have risen. From the early 2000s into the following decade, this region became a symbol of water conflict in the American West. In dry years, farmers face supply cuts, while conservation advocates emphasize the protection of species such as suckerfish and salmon. Klamath Falls centers on distribution conflict. Monterey represents a coastal city living under permanent supply restrictions. The region has no major river or massive reservoir to rely on. For decades, Monterey County has depended heavily on groundwater and flows from the Carmel River. The problem? Overpumping led to court rulings that strictly limit how much water can be withdrawn. As a result, Monterey has spent years under tight conservation rules. Water restrictions are not seasonal here. They are part of daily life. To address shortages, a seawater desalination project was built as a long-term solution. But desalination is expensive, energy-intensive, and water rates in this area are among the highest in the state. Monterey lives with permanent limits. Porterville experienced something far more severe: residential wells running completely dry. Located in the Central Valley, Porterville depends heavily on groundwater. When extreme drought struck California in the mid-2000s, thousands of household wells in the surrounding area failed. Water simply stopped flowing. Residents had to rely on emergency water tanks and trucked deliveries. The situation was shaped by two combined pressures: prolonged drought and large-scale agricultural groundwater pumping. When water is extracted deeper and faster than it can naturally recharge, shallower domestic wells become the first to fail. By 2026, Porterville is no longer in a major emergency like before. Still, groundwater stress remains a concern, especially in dry years. California's new groundwater management regulations are being implemented, but aquifer recovery is a slow process. Porterville highlights wells running dry due to drought and farming. Clovis faces a quieter but more permanent threat: the decline of the Ogallala Aquifer. Clovis sits in the eastern New Mexico High Plains and relies heavily on the Ogallala, one of the largest aquifers in the United States. The problem? Groundwater here has been pumped for decades to support agriculture and urban needs, while natural recharge rates are extremely slow. In parts of the High Plains, groundwater levels have dropped by dozens of meters since the mid-20th century. This is not a seasonal fluctuation. It is a long-term trend. Clovis has already begun exploring alternative solutions, including pipeline projects to access surface water sources from other regions. That move signals clear awareness. Total dependence on the Ogallala cannot continue forever. Clovis depends on a declining aquifer. Yuma relies on a river under growing strain, the Colorado River. Yuma sits in the southwestern corner of Arizona, near the borders of California and Mexico. The city is small compared to Phoenix or Las Vegas, yet its role in the Southwest water system is enormous. This region is one of the most productive winter farming centers in the United States, often called the winter lettuce capital because it supplies vegetables across the country. The challenge is clear. Nearly the entire agricultural system and municipal water supply depend on the flow of the Colorado River. Over the past 2 decades, that river has faced extraordinary pressure from prolonged drought and climate change. Interstate water sharing agreements have been revised multiple times to reduce usage. Arizona is among the states required to accept significant cuts under shortage scenarios. Yuma worries about a shrinking river. Houma faces a threat moving in the opposite direction: seawater pushing too far inland. Located in coastal southern Louisiana, Houma lies in a region experiencing one of the fastest land subsidence rates in the United States. The combination of sea level rise, powerful storms, and the loss of natural wetlands has caused the coastline to retreat gradually. In recent years, saltwater intrusion from the Gulf of Mexico and the Mississippi River system has become a serious concern. When river flow weakens or during dry seasons, saltwater can travel farther upstream and threaten drinking water treatment facilities. Louisiana has even built emergency barriers to stop a saltwater wedge from advancing too deeply into regional water supplies. This is not a fictional scenario. It is a real response to a real risk. Houma confronts rising seas. Laredo depends on a river that has become increasingly unpredictable. This border city sits along the Rio Grande, a river that serves as a lifeline for millions of people in southern Texas and northern Mexico. Nearly all of Laredo's water needs rely on this river and regional reservoirs such as Falcon Lake. Over the past 2 decades, the Rio Grande has frequently experienced low flows due to prolonged drought, extreme heat, and rising upstream demand. Water-sharing agreements between the United States and Mexico often turn into political flashpoints when river levels drop sharply. In dry years, reservoir levels can fall significantly, raising fears of restrictions. Laredo has promoted conservation efforts and stricter water management to prepare for these ongoing fluctuations.